Hello, fabulous superstar Libra. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of April 2023. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological month, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. It is going to be on the 6th of the month that we have an important high point of the month taking place for you, and that is a full moon in your sign. Now, normally you get one full moon per sign per year, and this is your moment, a moment of emotional honesty. It is the truth, an emotional truth, yes, but it is laid bare. For some Libras, it could be a truth that maybe you hadn't wanted to see until now, until it is so obvious. For some, it may come on in a way that feels organic, that feels natural. For others, though, it may feel as if you're trying to talk yourself out of what it is that you know to be true for you now. You see, this part of the sky in your own sign, it has to do with identity and priorities. What matters to you most, what matters to you first, and whom it is that you know yourself to be. Now, this particular full moon is standing across the sky from Jupiter. So there is that sense that perhaps someone else is telling you something, and instinctively, intuitively, you're like, oh, I don't know about that. It could be that there's exaggeration at this time in some way, overshooting the mark in some way. I think it's more about overpromising, whether it's you or another person, that ultimately leads you to looking at some truth. Uh, Ultimately, it is about you. In some way, you are looking at the contrast between something that feels more inspired and whom it is that you are and where it is you are now, and you're evaluating the pathway towards that more inspired future. Now, for some, it's going to be realizing that you've bought into some illusion and that isn't worth working towards anymore. For others, you are not feeling as if you can believe that working towards it is going to matter. But for other Libras still, this is going to represent a time of depth of commitment to that very journey, to that very inspired version of yourself that you may be glimpsing in some way now. This is a time that is emotional, so make sure you're taking the best of care of you. But it's also a time that can be, well, it's missing key details. And so, where you stay rooted in yourself and the truths you know about you, this can be a time of your heart's fulfillment. But where it is perhaps you haven't wanted to look at key details that reveal a challenging truth for you, well, that's where it's going to become that much more evident. But ultimately, either way, you end up empowered and being true to yourself. Now, as we navigate further, we've got some really important energies playing out in your opposite sign that I think are going to bring another person into focus in some way. This could be a business partnership or professional alliance. This could be romantic as well, though I'll talk about that in just a little bit. Now, this part of the sky has been very lit up over the last few months because Jupiter's been moving through here. And it is going to be on the 11th of the month that we will have the luckiest day of the year. That is the sun meeting Jupiter in the sky. Considering that this is happening in your opposite sign, this is wonderful energy to work with where it comes to fortifying alliances, working one-on-one with others, or where it is that you desire to connect with new people, whether that has to do with shared prosperity and success or more personally as well. It's those one-on-one alliances that can really flow at this time. But it's Jupiter, so you do need to be proactive with the energy and actually actively connect with others, reach out to others to fortify those bonds or make new ones. However, once we navigate further on the 20th, we are going to have a solar eclipse in this same part of the sky. An incredibly important energy could be playing out here for you at this time. Now, this energy is quite fascinating of the eclipse. I want you to think back a month earlier, we had a new moon at 0 degrees at the very beginning of your opposite sign. Now, This eclipse is happening at 29 degrees, known as a concentration point. And it's a solar eclipse, which is like a jacked up new moon, like 30 times more powerful. And there's a sense of karmic developments whenever we have eclipses and enter eclipse season, as we will at that time. I say this because with eclipses, they are such a wild card that it isn't necessarily energy to work with. If you have important meetings or connections or reconnections you want to make, try to do that right around the 11th so that you're tapping into the best of that very fortunate day of the sun meeting Jupiter. However, once we get to the eclipse, you got to kind of go along for the ride. See who it is that the universe presents to you as part of meaningful alliances you could make now. But this is your opposite sign. Let's talk about this energy in the context of love, where it comes to matters of love. Such big, powerful, and important energies happening in your opposite sign do suggest that someone is there to help you to understand where you are in love and how you feel about it. Around the middle of the month, yes, there's this beautiful healing energy, but there's also energy of faith. But as we navigate to the eclipse, that's where the universe has a will of its own when it comes to your alliances. So, for those of you open to meeting someone new, well, energy like this does suggest that you will be meeting someone. It is ultimately to help you to understand where you are in terms of love and how you feel about it. But especially at that eclipse, there's not a whole lot you need to do. Just be yourself, move through your life, and it's very possible that someone new may present themselves to you. That eclipse is rather interesting because the eclipse is going to be square Pluto, which has a lot of intensity to it, but it's also close in the sky to Jupiter. So there's a lot of hope here as well. And so, again, it is very possible that right around the middle of the month, right around the 11th, it's about you being open to interacting with others and taking advantage of that energy. And yet, by the time we get to the eclipse, there's a will of its own. I think I've said that the third time now, but yeah, that's the thing with eclipses. They're so karmic that you may end up connecting with someone new, or at least realizing that you have options available to you in the context of love. You certainly do. That doesn't mean if you get an invitation, you don't go. Yes, you surrender, but then you also are very likely going to be motivated to take action. And that's also going to help to make those connections happen. Now, for those of you who are just starting to date someone, what a remarkable time this can be. In the context of dating, there's such a sense now of you either being all in or not. The most likely scenario with energy like this is moving towards partnership, especially around the 11th. But eclipses in your opposite sign show you some truth about who this person is. Like in an instant, it's revealed. And you get to decide whether or not it's working for you. So things can either accelerate, leap forward with this person at that eclipse, or they really might not. You may end up connecting with someone brand new. And for those of you in an established bond, well, I do love the energy around the 11th because it is one that is fortunate and healing as well. The eclipse, though, may bring developments in your partner's life, and it may not have to do with the partnership itself, but it looks like there are changes taking place there, and you're able to be that supportive presence in their life at this time. For all that, though, I will say for that very small percentage of Libras out there, if you felt for a while that maybe you're not in the right relationship for you, that meeting of the sun and Jupiter could give you a lot of faith and a lot of belief that there is love for you in the world, and that could help you go in a different direction. What I love about this month for you, there's so much here. It's a valuable and meaningful astrological moment. The luckiest day of the year, that's pretty powerful. It can be a very meaningful time in terms of how your alliances with other people open up all kinds of possibilities to you. But that full moon in your sign is also really powerful because that has to do with the truth of who you are. With a full moon like this, you're able to look at that truth, but also embrace it and live it fully. Well, thank you so much for watching. You can get a video like this each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with Choose Your Membership rate. Now, higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great month. Enjoy.